How's it going, guys, and welcome to the Purple Box, the semi-regularly posted series where I try to chronicle every non-unique purple weapon in Borderlands 3 to let you know whether it's trash, treasure, or completely inconsequential. If you would like to give any of the weapons showcased in this video a go, a save file containing all of them will be available in my Discord server, linked down in the description. But with that out of the way, Atlas, high value, high performance, high aimbot. Every weapon manufactured by Atlas is equipped with smart bullets, allowing your shots to home in on targets via the various tracker delivery methods loaded into each gun. Aim, skill, unnecessary. Tracker darts fires a small number of darts similar to a shotgun blast, tagging all enemies hit. The tracker puck fires a slow-moving magnetic puck that sticks to an enemy that it is shot towards. When that target dies, it will fall free and search out a new enemy if one is close by. And finally, the tracker grenade, which lobs out a grenade in the direction shot, bouncing upwards on impact with terrain before exploding into hundreds of darts, tracking all enemies within the radius. If the grenade instead impacts an enemy, it will explode instantly. All tracker modes have a short recharge time after use. Generally, tracker grenades are your best friend, but there are situations where tracker darts and tracker pucks can be useful. Along with all this, Atlas guns are always non-elemental. Getting into the actual specific guns, let's start with pistols. First up, we have the AX-19 coming in with full auto and an average fire rate, but the lowest base damage. The accessories that this is able to roll with aim to further increase fire rate. The damage of the AX-19 is actually perfectly fine despite being lower than the other options. Because of that fire rate, it is able to pump out very good DPS, but it is very held back by that fire rate as well because the magazine size is kinda low. So while your damage and DPS is fine, the actual uptime of that DPS takes a massive hit because you're going to be spending way more time reloading than you are actually firing the gun. Next up is the AX-7, which sports technically the highest fire rate, however it is a 4-round burst, but it does have the second highest damage. The specific accessories that the AX-7 is able to roll with aim to further increase accuracy. Using this gun, I felt that the damage was actually very decent and it was quite usable, but the actual DPS took a very large hit from this burst fire. And finally is the AX-88, which fires rockets instead of bullets and consuming 2 ammo per shot, but having the lowest fire rate with the highest base damage out of each of our pistols. These rockets, though, will begin to lose accuracy beyond a specific range, making trackers very necessary for longer range encounters. The accessories of the AX-88 aim to further increase damage or projectile speed. The AX-88 felt a little bit inconsistent, but was pretty solid at times. The slower fire rate plus the rockets losing accuracy at a certain distance did make it feel a little bit clunky, but the damage was definitely there, and when it was hitting good, it was hitting good. All of the Atlas pistols are actually pretty alright, but each definitely have some very standout downsides to them. Overall, though, they're all pretty usable. Moving on to assault rifles, we will start with the V system, which has overall balanced stats with accessories aiming to further improve accuracy. And really, there's not much to say about the V system. It's pretty meh. It functions, it kills things, but that's about it. It's nothing too good, it's nothing too bad. It's kinda just there and gets outshined by the next two. Which we next have the N system, which has the highest fire rate with the lowest base damage and accessories aiming to further increase the fire rate or mag size. The N system is great. I mean, it worked perfectly fine. It has a decent mag size to compensate for that higher fire rate, so you're not caught reloading constantly, and the DPS is just overall very strong. The N system is a damn good option, but nothing compared to the Q system. The Q system comes in waving its dick around with the highest damage and firing 2 projectiles per shot at the cost of 1 ammo. Although it has the lowest fire rate out of all of these guns, this thing is absolutely insane, and the damage that this deals is just, it outshines everything. This is by far the best with no competition for just raw damage. But genuinely, the damage that this thing provides is on par with most legendaries, and like before the OPQ system existed, this was one of the few purple guns to actually be meta within the endgame. And while it has definitely taken a sideline, this thing is still very good and will just shred through anything you point it at. Atlas ARs as a whole, though, were actually pretty solid and just damn good all around. Even the V system, while I found it weaker than the rest, was still good and was still pumping out decent damage. And to be fair, I think the one that I was using was just a very bad roll because it actually had lower damage damage than my N system, so there's for sure probably better rolls of that out there somewhere. But the V and N are both very good if you just want really good all-around stats, and the Q is the best for just fucking pure damage. But moving into our final category here, let's talk about heavies. Starting off with the pattern null. This is a fully automatic single-shot launcher with a decent fire rate and accessories aiming to further increase that fire rate. This is actually a very interesting heavy. It's weird to have a fully automatic heavy and is pretty fun to use for the 2 seconds that you can before you completely run through all of your ammo because it's a full auto heavy. And a full auto heavy with a very good fire rate at that. And because it is, again, a full auto heavy, it has a very low base damage in compensation for that. This thing easily shreds through your ammo more than it shreds through any enemy that you shoot it at. Sorry, I forget, did I mention it was a full auto heavy though, and that's fucking badass? Next, we have the pattern red, which fires a burst of 3 rockets traveling in an arc. This has the highest base damage for each singular rocket, and accessories aim to further increase that damage. And the damage of this thing is very good. It is very fun, and if you're hitting heads, anything in front of you is going to die. The pattern red is the pattern null, but based. This thing still fires decently fast while doing way more damage and actually killing the things for the ammo cost. It's also just satisfying as fun to blast a burst of rockets into an enemy's mouth. And finally is the pattern black, firing multiple rockets at once that travel in different directions though converge on a point even without a tagged enemy. Each rocket deals the lowest damage per rocket but has the highest overall damage. Accessories aim to further increase projectile count. I mean, by far this thing is the most ammo efficient, seeing as you're getting a shit ton of rockets for the cost of 1, but I find overall the pattern black felt just a little bit underwhelming and it wasn't dealing as much damage as I kind of wanted it to. That being said though, I fully believe that this has its place, and I think that with a little bit more focus into splash damage and launcher damage and getting a better roll of the pattern black, this thing could definitely be up there with the red, which was by far my favorite of these 3. The red felt the most usable and fun and kind of plug and play, and you didn't really need to focus in on it too much. As I said, the black did have potential, but it probably needs just a little bit more to boost it up. The null is an absolute wreck, but much like a wreck, it's kind of fun to look at. It's hard to ignore it. It's pretty enjoyable to use. Overall, Atlas was quite the surprise to me. All of these guns worked really well, and all of them were endgame viable, even those that had some sort of drawback or were worse off than others, which is definitely saying something considering the range of usability within Atlas, going from the Q system, which just absolutely slaps and is just legendary quality, all the way down to things like the pattern null, which are just a very quick way to dump your ammo. Through it all, Atlas guns have a feel, and that feel is quality. These feel like a premium product. This feels like the Apple of the Borderlands universe. And that aesthetic alone, and how heavily they actually achieve that feeling, is kind of part of what also makes them fun. Because a large part of what achieves that effect is just the fact that all of these guns are incredibly quality, and for the most part, pretty much all of them have an actual place alongside each other, especially seen with the rocket launchers and pistols, with just how different each of them play, having almost entirely different playstyles between them. The differences genuinely make them feel better than other gun manufacturers because these gimmicks feel like legendary effects because of the variety in these guns from what is the same manufacturer. I was not a huge Atlas fan before this video, but this kind of gave me a new appreciation just going through and learning about them and playing with them at the endgame. Atlas is a pretty cool manufacturer, and if you felt the same way that I did before making this video, I definitely recommend giving them a chance. But that's gonna about do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, definitely consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, all of that. Down in the description will be a link to my Twitch channel where I'll be live right after this video goes up, and below that is a link to my Discord server where you can come and join and hang out. But with that all being said, I hope to see you guys in the next one.